Now, for the last decade or so, and perhaps longer, there's been an argument on how to best do healthcare. Now, the Democrats under President Obama, of course, passing what's known as Obamacare, the ACA. And now, of course, the House Republicans were pushing Trump care. And, of course, you have people like Bernie Sanders and Jill Stein, progressives, pushing Medicare for all, which I happen to think is the correct idea when it comes to healthcare. But what is lacking in this conversation is the issue of dental care, which is equally important. Now, right now, unfortunately, dental care is seen as more of a luxury than an actual piece of health care. So let me explain. Now, the Washington Post did a great piece on the effect of not having dental care in Washington. They actually went out and they talked to people who were impacted by the lack of affordable dental insurance and realized that like healthcare, it is tied to the massive amount of income inequality in America. People who are wealthy obviously get access to better health care, and they actually also get access to dental care, which they use a lot for cosmetic purposes. Poor people don't get access to health care because, again, America has the best health care system in the world if you can afford it. Well, it's the same thing when it comes to dentistry. America has great dentistry if you can afford it, which unfortunately there are many, many, many people who cannot afford it. So now, for example, the article points out that while high-end cosmetic dentistry is soaring in popularity and soaring as money, and better off Americans spend well over $1 billion a year just to be able to whiten their teeth, right? While that's happening, millions of others are relying on charity clinics and hospital emergency rooms to treat neglected teeth. Now, for example, they're unable to afford expensive root canals and crowns. Many simply opt to have their teeth pulled. Now, here's an amazing stat, which is a disaster. Nearly 1 in 5 American adults older than 65 no longer have any real teeth left. Not a single one. 1 in 5. Disaster. Now, look, I see the jokes already. They're lazy people, whatever. The hillbillies, you know, out there. And look, we've made fun of them before. Well, not me, but personally. But I see a lot of people on the left with the, oh, he ain't got no teeth left because he's, a redneck hillbilly. But actually, look, that seems to be a real problem. And it's not because they're lazy. It's not because they don't care about their hygiene, as I'm going to show you. This problem actually affects a lot of people, and it doesn't have to do a lot with personal choice. It actually has to do a lot with the fact that dental care is so incredibly expensive here in America, and also lack of good dental insurance and lack of any sort of public dental insurance. Now, look, Medicaid has, since it was expanded in a lot of states do have options, but there are some states that don't, and some states that didn't even expand Medicaid whatsoever. So millions of people are left without an option for actual dental care. So again, this is an incredibly important issue to talk about. Now, the example the Post gets, and they write about her, is a woman named Dee Metallo. Now, Dee Metallo is a small business owner and happened to have been a Trump supporter. Now, they wrote and they talked about a little bit about her life and why she was actually at one of these free dental clinics. Now, she ended up having a cracked molar, no dental insurance, and a soreness that forced her to chew in the right side of her mouth for years. Now, she said, quote, "It's always bothering me." And although her toothache wasn't why she voted for Trump, it was a constant reminder of one reason she did. The feeling that she had been abandoned, left struggling to meet basic needs in a country full of fantastically rich people. Quote, "The country is way too divided between well-off people and people struggling for everything, even to see the dentist," she said. "And the worst part is, I don't see a bridge to cross over to be one of those rich people." Well, that's because there isn't a bridge. Unfortunately, you have some, not all, of course, but you have some very wealthy people who have become rich and who have burned those down, or some who were born wealthy and decided, I want to burn the bridge anyway. I don't want anybody else being part of our club. No, it's our exclusive club, and you ain't in it, and we don't want you in it. well, we don't want you to be rich. Because if you're rich, well, then who do we lord over? Who are we going to be better than? Now, unfortunately, Trump seems to be that same kind of person who doesn't want everybody to be rich. He wants to be rich, and he wants to be richer. Now, for Metallo, you might think that she is a terrible person for voting for Donald Trump. Now, I actually disagree. This is somebody who voted for Obama in 2008 and didn't vote in 2012 because she felt disillusioned with Barack Obama. She actually thought that he was going to help the working class, that he was going to actually do what he said he was going to do. Now, unfortunately, he governed as a center-right corporatist who mainly helped out special interests and big donors. Even his signature legislation, Obamacare, while it has helped millions of people, also has helped insurance companies and special interests as well. So again, that's the double side of Barack Obama. Yes, he did things to help regular people, and I applauded him for that. But at the same time, there's also that giving fealty to corporations. That's why he didn't have to go after the banks in 2008. Sorry, got to help the banks, but I'm not going to help all these people that are underwater with their mortgages that got screwed over by these same banks. You're kind of on your own. Now, now, look, this Metallo girl. Now, she is essentially what I like to call a brick thrower, right? Now, this is somebody who wanted to vote for change. This is somebody who saw that the status quo wasn't actually working in her favor. And she wanted to change that. She's like, I don't care what kind of change there is. I just want change. What's going on isn't working. I guess I'm going to listen to this Trump guy who we knew was lying, but they didn't. Because we pay attention to his past. We pay attention to who this person is. And we knew this guy was a serial liar. But there's a lot of people that didn't. And that held on to the hope of, look, man, at least he's talking about change. Maybe he's going to help us. Maybe. Well, it turns out that was not true. He did not plan to help you. He didn't want to help you. Now, she believed that Trump said, when Trump said that he would create a better healthcare system. Because he did say that. Oh, it's going to be better. It's going to cover everybody. We're not going to let people die in the street. It's going to be cheaper, too. Well, that's not the healthcare bill that the Republicans came up with and that Donald Trump endorsed. In fact, she addressed that. Quote, I'm hearing about a number of people who will lose their coverage under the new plan. Is Trump the wolf in grandma's clothes? My husband and I are now saying to each other, did we really vote for him? She also wondered, quote, was he just out to get our votes? I think the answer is fairly obvious. But look, this guy, he's a con artist. He's got no empathy for anyone. And sadly, it was pretty damn hard to convince anybody in that position to not vote for Trump when Hillary Clinton was on the other side. Someone who was just as cut off from regular people as Donald Trump. Though in fairness, she would keep the ACA. Now, anyway, back to the issue of dental care, which is what we're talking about here. People like Metallo, they don't have access to affordable dental care. Millions of people who can't afford it. And these same millions of people also don't have enough money to pay for dental insurance on top of healthcare premiums. Now, and if you don't have dental, a shattered molar, like what she has, will end up costing you hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Now, for people like her, that is a difference between paying her bills, feeding her family, or getting her tooth fixed. For millions of Americans, that's not really much of an option. They're going to go for, well, I'd rather have food in the fridge. I'd rather have electricity. I'd rather have, you know, my rent paid for or my house payment. Gotta have a place to live. I can't afford to get this dental care. And that, again, is unfortunately a choice that faces millions of Americans every day, especially in small rural areas. Now, in smaller rural areas like this, there's not a lot of option when it comes to dentists, especially dentists who accept Medicaid. Only 38% of dentists in this area, this is Maryland, accept Medicaid. So you also have that issue, and well, I'll get into the reason why as well. But as far as access, it's actually really hard to find a dentist in some of these smaller areas. Well, they tend to be, of course, located in larger metropolitan areas. And again, there's a reason for that. dental school is incredibly expensive. It costs somewhere up to $260,000 to become a licensed dentist. That's a lot of money. And what are you going to do when you, when you graduate with that kind of debt? Well, you're going to end up going to a bigger city, and you're going to end up charging more. You're going to go where that money is, right? You're not going to make that money back in a very small town and serving charity cases. So, again, what do people do when they don't have any of these options? Well, they end up going to the ER. But the ER is not set up for dental problems. They give you pills, and then off you go. I know. I've been in that position. They give you some pain medication, and then they tell you, you should probably go see a dentist. Well, that'd be great if I could afford it. But I can't. And look, this is a widespread problem. Just last year, more than 2 million emergency room visits were attributed to neglected teeth. People who could not afford to go to see a dentist. Now, the only time where people can actually get real help and get the problem solved instead of just taking a few pain pills and possibly getting addicted, and that also contributes to the opioid epidemic that we have going on now because of the chronic tooth pain. Well, the only time that they get help to solve the actual problems is when charities come to town. Like, for example, in the story referenced Mission of Mercy, that actually travels the country to do free clinics for people who don't have that health insurance or that dental insurance. And if you think that it's just a small amount of Americans who suffer from lack of access to dental care, it is not. According to the American Dental Association, more than a third of all American adults do not have dental coverage whatsoever. Even people on Medicare. Medicare covers 55 million seniors and disabled people. But even Medicare does not have dental coverage. That's insane. Now, why? Why does health insurance, why doesn't health insurance and Medicare not cover dental care? Especially since it's been shown that poor oral health can lead to heart disease and other serious medical problems. Tooth loss can lead to depression, difficulty eating and speaking. And not to mention you have some severe societal impacts. People who are missing teeth or have crowded or crooked smiles, a lot of them might actually get discriminated when it comes to getting good jobs that require being a public face to a company. So there might be a little discrimination there because of how they look. I mean, these people, we've seen it all. They're looked down on, unattractive, lazy, etc. When really, you could take good care of your teeth and still get cavities or have crowded teeth. I mean, this is something that in a lot of cases could be genetic. So, and look, people don't understand as well that dental health is just as important as regular health care and should be considered regular health care because it has an impact on your health. I don't understand why this is hard to get. Everybody deserves health care, period. And that includes dental care. We have turned something that has a huge impact on your health into nothing more than a cosmetic industry. And in so doing, we have shut out the poorest Americans from getting the help that they need. So we need to fix this problem. And I think the first part of it is changing our perception of what dental care is and actually start including that into our push for universal health care. We have to stop thinking that it's just for people with money. This is the same thing that a lot of people who are in favor of universal health care are saying. It shouldn't be about how much money you have. It should be about making sure that everybody gets the care that they deserve as a human being. That includes dental care because that is not just an outside issue. That is not just a cosmetic issue. This is a serious health issue. And we need to treat it like such. And look, another thing that we could do is make college a little bit more affordable for people who are going to school to be dentists. That would make sense. Might actually help drop some of the prices. And again, extending insurance to all Americans. We can solve this problem as long as we have the political will to solve this problem. And that involves changing people's minds. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.